Our world is changing, from the pandemic to social unrest to wars, division, and climate change. It's time to envision a new way of living in and surviving the shift of ages. The Hopi call this the time of the Great Purification and talk about different worlds. Their petroglyphs and the other petroglyphs around the world tell the story of what happens during the shift, the geomagnetic pole shift. Learn what the indigenous peoples of the world, scientists, researchers, prophets, psychics, remote viewers, and more say about what our Earth may experience in most of our lifetimes. Learn what we can do to prepare for what might be coming in a matter of decades. Are you brave enough to envision a new Earth? Everyone, to another Envisioning a New Earth show. I am your host, Joan Serio. And today I have a true wisdom keeper with me. Brooke Medicine Eagle is a lover of this beautiful earth, a legendary indigenous Earthkeeper, wisdom teacher, mentor, healer, visionary, singer-songwriter, shamanic practitioner, ceremonialist, and catalyst for wholeness. She is the author of the American Native literary classic, Buffalo Woman Comes Singing, and of The Last Ghost Dance. Brooke is also a sacred ecologist with a focused interest in promoting a conscious and sensuous relationship to all life and to living a harmonious, regenerative lifestyle. The primary ongoing resonance of her work promotes a heart-centered, ecologically sound, healing way for the flowering of individuals, Mother Earth, and all our relations. Over the last 45 years, her many music recordings, teachings, writings, conference appearances, and wilderness spiritual retreats have touched the hearts and minds of people internationally. Her offerings are empowering, enlightening, and supportive of the very best self and offering to the world. Brooke now resides in the beautiful Four Corners area of the Southwest Colorado, inviting you to join her in the mountain beauty, ancient ruins, and sacred sites so plentiful there. Her website is medicineeagle.com. Welcome to the show. I am so pleased and honored to have you here today, Brooke.
Thank you. That was a mouthful. I think I must be really busy.
Yes, you must at least have been very busy.
Yeah. So I'd like to begin with a prayer and a song.
Okay,
Let's
wonderful.
Just, kind of wiggle in a little bit here. Release. I've just done a smudge and really invited us to leave behind anything we don't need for right now, just to focus in so we really gain a lot from what's happening here by our presence. And so we just soften into this space. Take a nice deep breath and Creator, great Mother, Father, we are so grateful for this opportunity to come together in this way. And I ask that I be an open and hollow bone to bring forth the true transformation and wisdom and love and healing that is yours. And so I open myself to that and stand in gratefulness here as we really look forward as a human family to how we can step up to be the radiant stewards that we were meant to be and that our full humanity says that we are. And so we'll bless this sharing about all of this, bring the light of your wisdom through as we speak. And I'm asking as well that more understanding, more wisdom, more power, more transformation come through than anything we could possibly say. Let your beauty and life pour through this to touch the hearts of all of us. Ho, Mitakuyasan, all my relations. So this is from Mother Earth. Oh, Mother, send me your voice. Teach me what I'm to say. Show me how I'm to live, to walk a medicine way. Well, hey, hey, away. Way, me, hey, hey, oh. into our beautiful waters. Oh, waters, send us your voice. Teach us what we're to say. Show us how we're to live. To walk a medicine way. Way-oh, hey, hey-oh, way. Way, hey, hey-oh, ho.
Thank you. Both were so beautiful. Thank you. Feel very blessed.
You're welcome.
Oh, and may it be so. So, especially in this world today, as we're going through so much, and as some of the other wisdom keepers of the native tradition have said, that we are close to the end times. What do you say about these times, Brooke?
You know, I'd like to put it in perspective of the great cycles of time. One of the things I think our native and primary and indigenous peoples are good with is to realize that, you know, they've been cycle after cycle into deep history. You know, all of our mystics and all of us really understand back a long ways and how things change. And so one of the interesting things that's happened recently, I mean, there are all of these energies coming together right now, I think. It's a very intense time because 1,000-year cycles and million-year cycles and feminine and masculine and patriarchal and all of these kind of cycles are coming together and they create an incredible intensity. But the one I'd like to concentrate on is, and I would love to remember when my little brain had the dawning about this, but I believe it was in around 1993. And we heard from the grandfathers, the native elders in indigenous traditions and primary spiritualities around the world. Excuse me. We heard from them that they were handing the wands of power to the females.
Mm-hmm.
They said, grandmothers, women, this is your time. This is the time of the feminine. And I think we've been so little schooled. You know, we've been under the patriarchy for what, 10,000 years or something, 4,000.
Yeah, long time.
So we don't have a lot of sense of some of these things and what the feminine really is. And so when I heard that, it's like, oh, that's nice. You know, I didn't really get the import of it. And interestingly enough, when I did my deep vision quests on Bear Butte in South Dakota, 4 and 5 days without water, the visions that were given to me, the most profound visions that were given to me were about the feminine, the grandmothers carrying light coming down off the mountain, dancing in circles, healing, nurturing, beautiful circles, and all of these things. And again, I don't think I understood as deeply as I do now what that was about. And that's why we're asked to hold those visions. You know, I was young, I was probably 29, but to hold that vision and it would fill in and I'd be fed by it. And that's certainly been the case. So we're in the arising time of the feminine. So what is the feminine? Now, one of the ways I like to talk about it is that I spent time with and learned from a beautiful woman called the Woman Who Knows Everything. She was the keeper of the Cheyenne Sacred Lodge, the lodge of the buffalo hat. And that buffalo hat lodge, that the head and horns, you know, the skull and the head and horns of that buffalo represented for the people the feminine, the nurturing and renewing power of the feminine. Those words are very important, the nurturing and renewing power of the feminine. So I was immersed in all this. I was a tomboy. I wouldn't wear dresses. I ran the hills wild. I was just a tough, rough little thing. And, you know, I eventually got a little bit tamed, although I'm not really.
Good for you.
So the understanding of the feminine, I mean, my family, I remember my mom, bless her, she had so much to do on the ranch. I sat down on the couch once, and she said to me, if you don't have something to do, I'll find something. So it was like a no-no to sit down, which is totally opposite of the feminine. There was no sense of honoring that.
Right, yeah.
Because one of the things that happened with all of this knowledge around the feminine, because it used to be much more balanced and understood, what happened in our indigenous cultures here, our people here on this continent and others, but when the conquerors, the colonial conquerors, the white men, I guess we could say, mostly, came in and did something, I think, unthinkable. If we actually try to cognize it in our own minds, especially for mothers or fathers, they came in and took every single child, all of your children, all of your grandchildren, every child was taken. And so whole generations there of children were taken into another culture, not allowed, well, beaten if they spoke their own language. Absolutely taught that it was the devil's work to have the kind of superstitions that Indian people have. So a whole generation lost these teachings, which were very strong in the early days. Some cultures honored women more than others, but many, many, many had that understanding of the power of the feminine.
Right, right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what's interesting is that we as women, we've been raised in the same patriarchal, go to work, get busy, handle it, take care of business, don't sit down. It's like, I get a kick out of men who've never had this experience. They say, well, women don't need to just sit around and take care of kids at home. Have you ever done that, guy? No, especially with no money and maybe a single mother. It's like, excuse me. So anyway, all of us have been raised with that very different kind of energy. But we had someone come into the Americas 20 generations ago, a very interesting being. And I would have to call her an American goddess. And I want to just, many of you probably know this story, but I want to briefly jump into it. So a long time ago in the Lakota days, they were more back in the woodlands. They came out onto the prairies, the rolling grass prairies, to hunt for buffalo. And in that year especially, there just didn't seem to be many buffalo. So warriors went up on the hill to look around and take care of things and look for buffalo. And this amazing, radiant being moving gently across the grass by herself, stunning, because there in that wild place, this woman coming of radiance. One of the men chose to look at her lustfully and approach her that way. And she put out her arms and robe and called him in. And when she opened her robes, a mist had gone around them. When the mist cleared and she opened her robes, his skull and bones blew out from her robes and were scattered across the prairie. And so the one who was left was a true man, one who didn't do things for himself, but with his masculine, beautiful energy, served the people. So I'm sure he was somewhat tremulous. It's like, oh boy, you just watch that happen to your buddy. It's like, eek, to say the least. So he said to her, oh, woman of power and beauty, will you come and teach my people? And she said, yes, go before me and make a lodge. And so they made the lodge, and the one we now know as White Buffalo Woman came to them. So she taught them, and what she brought was the sacred pipe, what we call the chanupa. And that pipe, when she took it off her back and presented it to the people and spent time with them, she was talking to them about, it's like the stem of the pipe is the masculine, in that Catlinite bowl of the pipe is the feminine. And that bowl The teaching says everything is in there. The 2-legged, the 4-legged, the green standing ones, the waters, the stone people, the stars, literally everything is in that bowl. And then we draw the breath of that out and send it up to Creator, like the voice of everything, unified, joined together, a wholeness, masculine, feminine, the whole of everything, speaking and connecting to Great Spirit through that smoke. So she gave those teachings, and that's what I'll be emphasizing as we go forward, is that her teachings are incredibly profound, and I feel like they're really important for us right now as we think about how do we create this new earth that's been seen in our visions, in native visions. It's always called the new earth. The old earth will fall away and the new will come.
New world.
So that was her teaching, again and again, talking about love, respect, personal sovereignty, courage, wholeness, that sense that everything is whole. And I'll talk more about that. But I'll finish this story. So I have a sense that people just learned to love her. She probably stayed with them maybe a short time, but she's this radiant, incredible, loving, respectful, honoring, kind, gorgeous, sparkling, brilliant, wonderful woman. And so I'm sure they grew attached to her. When she said she needed to go, they walked a ways with her, perhaps out into the prairie. And then I bet the children hung onto her skirts and went a ways more. And finally, the elders called them back. And I always like to think that young man who invited her to his people walked just a little further with her. And then she walked on, walked out. She went out a ways in the prairie and laid down and rolled and became a black buffalo, and then up again and down and a red and a yellow. And then when she was out quite a ways, she laid down and rolled the 4th time and stood up. She was a white buffalo calf, and she ran over the hills. But the people received even more rights about the pipe and the sacred pipe and its uses after she left. And basically she said to them, I stand at the end of time. I stand at the beginning of Earth time, and I will be here till the end of time. And I hold this space for you, this space of holiness. And one of the ways she said it is, if you hold to this pipe, in other words, if you hold to unity, wholeness, oneness, honoring, respect, and all of this, if you hold to this, she said, I will meet you at the end of time. And so we're, in a sense, at the end of a certain time here. We are really dancing on the edge of things. And I think it's a little bit hard to face this fact, but we know this deeply from our scientists, and also our indigenous elders are saying to us, you have at most, a generation to step into a way of harmony on Earth, regenerative, not only sustaining, but regenerative. We need to take back the deserts we've created. We have all this regeneration to do of the soil and of the plants and of I don't know if we'll ever gain back we have destroyed 50% of the life on Earth.
I know.
Have set the 6th great extinction in action. We're deep into it. And what we don't seem to understand is that, so often we have such hubris. It's like, well, we humans are at the top of the evolutionary tree. It's like, well, yeah, at one level. Maybe at all levels. And if you have a brain in your head, you realize that if you destroy the tree under you, you fall hard.
Yeah.
So the idea always was to love and care for and steward, and that sense of wonderful, we're all in this together, doing this together. We all care. I talk about myself as a sacred ecologist, and to me, ecology is saying, well, if we don't have, the trees are our lungs, and if we don't have the trees, we don't have air. And that's right. That's wonderful. So it's like we shouldn't cut them down, right? But sacred ecology goes another step and says, those trees are beings. They deserve life like every and anything else. And we take life with honor, and we take life with care, because that's kind of somehow how we got the Earth thing set up. So we do take life. We take the life of the plants and the herbs and animals and other things. But if it's done in an honoring way, then it's a sacred way and it's a giveaway. So anyway, I'm losing track here. I have so many things I want to tell you, but we have that that way of being, and the pipe, holding to the pipe, that sense of oneness is so very important. For me, when we talk about the new earth, I'm going to grab a new thread here for a moment since I lost the old one.
But it's all perfect.
What we're really wanting to do is to call in this new time. And one of the fascinating things that happened I have been carrying these prophecies that I carry I've been talking about them for 50 years on the road. So there were always some tough things in between, but there was the vision of this golden time. And I've been told by absolute amazing number of people that I will live to be 127 years old. And I thought, well, we're going to go through some tough things, but I would just love to be alive to see this radiance. I love this earth. If there's anything that's true about me, is I love this earth with a deep and abiding passion. I work for her. I don't work for humanity. I work for this squishy Gaia.
I understand.
And woman. And so I thought, maybe I'll see a bit of it. Maybe that's what I'm doing, is trying to, keep working toward that through. And when things hit, 5 or 6 years ago, when I saw such negativity and meanness and separation, and I was in Europe and Brexit happened. Dividing away from and all of this crazy stuff. And most of the people said, I didn't realize that's what I was voting for. They had it mixed up kind of in a whole bunch of other stuff. And then boom, here we are. So you know how all that goes. That's politics and games, bad kind of games. So anyway, then we had things happen in America that to me were incredibly challenging, seeing abuse of women and prejudice and meanness and unkindness and all of these things glorified at some level, and people beginning to be mean and divided and all of these kinds of things. And I was just like, oh my goddess. I just wanted to cry. I thought, I've been on the road for how many years trying to talk about harmony and peace and a golden time, and this really is where we're going. It's like, whoo-wee, that was a tough one for me.
Yeah.
So my elders, and they said this, which was challenging, hopeful, but challenging. They said, great mother rises. And I like to think of her, most of you may know of the Venus of Willendorf. She's that lady that, she's a little clay figurine about like this, but she's got nice big round cheeks, and she's got great big boobies, and she's got a great big almost pregnant belly, and she's got great strong legs, and she's got a very prominent yoni, and she's this goddess figure. Well, I sometimes think of her lying down, both resting and maybe suppressed under the earth, just really suppressed. And then I see her starting to wiggle, and she's just enormous. She just starts to wiggle and come up out of the ground. And when she comes up with the love she has for her children of earth, I would think she'd be just a little bit pissed. So she's coming up out of the ground, this feminine energy, this amazing energy of nurturing and renewing life is coming forward. And so what I was told, and this is the challenging part, yes, the feminine is rising. And what must rise with her is all of the darkness, all of the gunk, everything that's been hidden, everything that's been mean and harmful, and anything that's not about this golden time.
That's part of the feminine. Yeah.
So bringing that up, and I always say, what's happening really is like not only in our face, it's like up our nose. It's like we can't deny it. And so what we're being asked to do is to step up and to say, okay, I see this. I'm willing to see it. I'm willing to see the really awful things that have happened out of fear and craziness and out of power and pressure and greed and all these. Willing to see this. And my deal is I get to choose. And it takes courage to choose against the flow of all of this energy that's here. But we get to choose. And that's where we are as a human family. We're right on this knife edge of, because if we choose one way, if we step up in courage and stand for sovereignty and wholeness, if we hold that pipe of Buffalo Woman's, if we say, I honor, I will not destroy, I will get rid of pesticides that are killing our bees, because the bees and the insects being gone are going to kill me. I mean, if not, we can look at it selfishly. So unless we stand up and do that, at that, within 20 years, it's like, boop, there we go. Humanity is not going to be allowed to stay here. And on the other side, it's like this golden time. If we can, we can hook our intent toward that golden time and have the courage to make the choices that will carry us through the mud into that. Then, that's where we are. It's really so, in a sense, surprising and shocking that we need to push ourselves to the edge so much.
Yeah, the spiritual community has been talking a lot about the rise of the feminine, the divine feminine. But as I look around, I'm still wondering, when is this going to happen?
Yeah.
Because I see more of the patriarchy just like, ooh, and I guess things have to swing way the other way.
Yeah. And again, it's like the real power of the feminine is going into the deep womb of the Great Mother, into deep meditation and into quietness, and bringing forth solutions, bringing forth grounded in source kind of power and vision. I mean, that's what the moon time, the menstrual time was. Women took 4 days off. And of course, part of it was to rest, because women are on 24/7. So it was partly about rest, but it was also about going deep into the womb of the Great Mother, into the void, into the birthing mother, father energy, the great womb of life, to rest there. And because everything, every dream, every possibility, everything, past, now, and future, lives there as a dream, as a seed, as an egg, to go there and to bring through our wombs, then bring those ideas and inventions and solutions and possibilities into our world. So that's the work of the feminine. But once again, all of that teaching went far away with the, with all the things that have happened to indigenous peoples. And so what we're doing now is really wanting to bring that back. And one of the real keys to the feminine and to having it be powerful is that we understand in our hormonal system, even what makes us feel good, gives us oxytocin, that wonderful, wonderful energy of love that oxytocin is. What gives that to us as women is not individual success, which is wonderful. I mean, it's great if someone does a great job. It's like, go guy. That's kind of more masculine, and we have that in us. But the feminine, the way that manifests most powerfully is in unity. Women working together. And it's interesting because, like in corporate world and all of that, people are set against each other. It's competition, and we've got that. It's like we're really, we women, since it's the time of the feminine, the thumb is really on us to wake up and stop doing those things that divide us and help each other, lift each other, support each other, and work together, nurturing and renewing of life. And at best, we'll be able to teach and model for the men around us the feminine as we find it in ourselves. That's the big challenge. We find it in ourselves and model that, and how workable it is, so that the men can find their own feminine. Because, in the patriarchy, one of the weird things is that, I mean, it's like, I'm not talking about guys. I'm talking about the patriarchy, the greedy, powerful, damaging, negative masculine. There's all the rest of the guys, these amazing men, amazing fathers, kind, wonderful, loving guys. And what we need to realize is that they've been damaged as much as women.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been so obvious in us, but for men to have been cut off from their feelings, put into competition and negative things, put down if they were heartful and all of that, not given the sense that a true man is somebody who, yes, really puts it together out there, and always, 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 always the feminine. He does it for the people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing so much of that that's not done for the people. It's done for greed and all of this.
Greed. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's being said to us again and again then is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to step up. We need to stand up. And I want to talk a little bit here about the difference between, in a sense, the masculine and the feminine, or we think sometimes of being powerful and really making a difference, really stepping up. And I think because of the past, we think of that as aggression. We have to be aggressive. We have to, in a sense, reach out and harm in some way, or reach out and do something like that. And that's really not what's true. What we need to be is fierce, not aggressive. And let me tell you about fierceness. Let's say, I don't know how many of you have ever been around a mama dog or a coyote or a wolf, with pups. And those have the sharpest, just like needle sharp little teeth. And they love to play and fight and tussle and roll around. And so one of them comes up and is playing with mama. He's right by her face. He's this little tiny guy. He's right by her face. He's just playing and she's just, resting. And he bites her on the ear. Oh, I'm sure that hurts incredibly. And she goes, ah! It's like, ooh, that little guy goes, ooh, I think I did something not so good there. And that's it. There's no aggression. There's only is the boundary. You do not cross this boundary. And that little pup may do it again a couple of times. And he kind of goes, me biting your ear, that's what that was about. I'm not going to do that anymore. And gets the idea. So the power of the feminine in all of us, men and women alike, but I talk to women a lot because it's like it's like right now it's pointing toward us. But is like standing up and taking a stand, is figuring out what you love enough to stand for. What you love enough to stand for. So the heart is where we're learning to function from.
Yes, yes.
Our heart, it's not only this loving, I love you, I want to take care of you, all this good stuff that's the feminine that we think of, grandma, food, apple pie, comfort, fun, joy, sweetness, being held, all of those things, all of that, loving relationships, romance, all of that is really such a wonderful part of love. And also that fierceness is love. When we love something enough, if you love something enough, you'll stand in front of that child in the face of anything. So anyway, that is where we need to be. And and I sometimes imagine maybe there's something going on out there that's not okay, and it's kind of coming our way. But I can see this whole line of women, and interestingly enough, they look a little bit like goddesses. They got the long dresses on and all of that, and it's just like party time almost. And they're all in a line, and they're visiting and sharing, and probably passing food and doing whatever they're doing. And when this threat comes close, it's like, whoop, no. There's this energy that comes together that says, no, you do not get to do that crap around me and around my family. You do not get to kill my children. You do not get to poison them with pesticides. You do not get to do that. No. And of course, sometimes we have to step up. I wish women all over, because it is literally killing our children and killing all of that are being sold as Roundup. Right in your store, your Ace, your whatever hardware store or nursery, there's Roundup, and that is literally killing life on this planet. And so sometimes we need to stand up. I would love to see a circle in every town that just went down to these folks and said, we're not buying here until this stuff is off the shelves. There are other things There are organic, wonderful things, you know, we just need to take a stand. And if we don't, it's like, I had this interesting talk the other day with a biologist. And he said, you know, if humans get kicked off the earth, in about 10 years, it will be radiantly verdant. It will regrow itself. It will, because often when things are suppressed, one of the fascinating things about life on Earth, and we see it very radiantly in plant life, is if it's been suppressed, there's a kind of intensity of energy builds up. And when it breaks free, it goes, yes, and really makes big plants. I saw a thing, I use this wonderful white sage to do smudges with, and I was picking it in Mexico. And there was an area where there was a fire had come and burned everything. And then kind of a canyon, and then they had somehow gotten it stopped there. So then there was an area that hadn't burned. So I was walking through that whole area picking white sage. And I found on the area that had not been burned, I found what seemed very normal pieces of sage. There's kind of a long stem, they're big old strong stems. And then there's almost a blossom of leaves and things. So it's got a blossomy and then the stem. When I went across into the place where it had been burned, I was stunned at the difference. They had come back, it may have been the second year, but they were back, and they had leaves from the very, very bottom of their stalk, thick leaves, and then up to where maybe the other ones would have had leaves, and on and on. They were totally radiant and vibrant and full compared to even the ones right next to them. So life itself will burgeon. And I tell you, I have a lot of heart for that outcome. However it comes, that's my outcome. That's what I have my heart and my life hooked to, is to see that. And he said, though, so, okay, if humans, I mean, I'd love it if we humans staying around, but he said, if the humans leave, it will be radiant in a very short time. He said, if we, in fact, manage to kill all the insects before we leave, which we will definitely do once the insects are gone, it will never, maybe it might take hundreds and hundreds of years to regenerate, or it may never be the same as it is. Because on that tree of life, those insects, those microbes that we're killing with our pesticides, all those little guys doing their little jobs, doing this, changing things, turning things, eating up the leaves, them into compost and nourishing the ground, and all of this that's happening that we don't recognize, all of that, if that's gone. And in some places, and this is shocking to me, we have killed 80% of the insects.
Wow.
And what's stunning is maybe some of you who are, well, I've been around a long time, and I've lived out in the woods and stuff. But when I was a child in the springtime, there were butterflies everywhere. Oh my gosh, there were colors and brown and spotted and those beautiful yellow and black and on and on. There were blue, and there were just so many. They were so beautiful, and all of these things. And now I hardly see a butterfly. I mean, it's for me like a beacon saying, if there ain't any butterflies, honey, guess what else there aren't? There aren't all other beings, and certainly bees. I really have a love affair with bees. And as I get a little older, I'm going to be a beekeeper, because I already started that when I had my own home. All of these things are speaking to us so profoundly. And I think we really need to, I mean, my call is to step up, you know, for us to find what it is we love enough to step up and stand for. And, you know, when in the Native tradition, women didn't really become medicine women until they were in their moonpause, or, you know, they'd gone through their into menopause, and in a sense then left behind their children. You know, you should be done with the basic child rearing and all of that. And the charge of the elder woman, the wisdom lodge woman, is to of course, she always loves those people, those beings, but her charge is to take care of the whole of everything, all things. And so I just feel like there's so many of us now who are elder women, elder men as well, but that as we step into this elder time in our life, excuse me, to find something we love enough to spend the rest of our life on it, short or long as it may be.
Yeah. It's really important now to find our hearts, I feel. Part of that and that fierceness is the passion in your heart, that love. And I think we've been living from here in this Western society, and we forgot about our hearts. And when we look at our leaders today, there's not much heart there.
No. Yeah, and that's another thing they say is the journey we're on is the journey from here to here. It's about a foot.
Yeah.
And all of the Kogi, and others, the really profound indigenous elders talk to us about that. And of course, all our spiritual traditions at the deepest place talk about that. So really finding that place in ourselves. One of the things I want to share, we're going to talk about some other things, but I have a course for women that's called Power and Beauty Wisdom Series. And what I do in that's available anytime on my website. And what we do in that, I take about 20 hours and talk to women about their magic, about their moon time and the feminine and the great mother and all these things. Then we talk about love and the heart, the Dawn Star teaching. And then I also have a piece about the ancient brain, how Creator gifted us a body that is amazing if we just learn to use our bodies. So anyway, I would highly recommend that to people, because we just haven't gotten much information about I've really had to look around the world. Some of the most amazing information I've gotten about the feminine is from older women Kung Fu masters. There's a book, Montauk Chia and his wife wrote one, I think it's Feminine Sexual Energy or something. It's really all the teachings that we've never been given about the female body and about all of that. So there's so much that I think we will find as we step up. And, I'm going to do a series for men in that same way, talking about working with the feminine, because, none of us have had much information, and especially the masculine, the men, wanting to find a way to find themselves. And I think there's a movement out there, I don't even know what it is, where men are standing up and saying, it's not all right to put little boys down for how they feel. It's, you pushing competition, all of that negative stuff that was so hard on, when men really get in touch with it, it was so hard on them. No. That's not what we're interested in. And that's not what we're interested in for our boys. To allow this loving, incredible, amazing energy to come forth from our men, this heartful, caring, it's the feminine side of men. And there's a lot of feminine magic for men, because our hunters, even, when you go out to hunt, you do ceremony, you ask you go into spirit, you ask the spirit of the animal if it would be willing to give away to feed your family. And you also pledge that you will do everything in your life to take care of their people. So it's that spiritual stewardship. So you go out, and a lot of times what someone did was they felt to go sit by a trail somewhere and wait until someone presented themselves. And when they did, there seemed to be that mutual agreement that, yes, I'm giving myself to you. So there's a deep feminine aspect to even like hunting and other things that sometimes is masculine. So, one of the things also, and I know we said we'd talk about this a bit, I've really been looking at how I could serve, how I could offer something, or how we could join together to do something. It's that feminine way to get more and more energy as we gather energy together and into wholeness, and really start to act based in principles of in a sense, White Buffalo Woman's principles, acting in wholeness, acting in respect, acting in honoring. So I've created something called We Are Earthkeepers. And it's a ceremonial membership where I'll put out teachings. I've already put out the baseline principle teachings so people can join and begin working with those. And then we'll use those principles to do ceremony every month for the earth. So that coming together is very profound, and to take it even deeper. And I need to tell you that I'm not a master of this. I wish I were a master of some of these wonderful things, but that wholeness and holiness, and in a sense, the quantum, the void, the wholeness, the oneness, when there's space, and then there's this other place where, as Buffalo Woman told us, we are one being. Whatever you do to any other being in the circle of life, you do to yourselves, because we are one being. Not one family, not one group. We are one. It's a whole, and we're part of it. We're connected to everything. And out of our personal selves, and this is some of the power of the feminine. When we step into that quietness for 2 days of rest and 2 days of meditation, deep meditation, we find ourselves able to drop into that deep womb, which is the wholeness. That's the quantum field. We're in that field. And when we act in that field, it's enormously powerful. Push and shove things around in the material. So I'm a big one for doing things in the material world. I think everybody needs to step up and, like I said, go down and get rid of all that poison on the shelves or whatever you do in a good and really loving, fierce way. But also, we can act at the level of spirit, at the level level of Buffalo Woman, at the level of wholeness. And I like to think, I always talk about the feminine womb as the way I first understood it is that's Buffalo Woman's womb. And the way you get in touch with that is you go out on a night with no moon, no clouds, and you look up, and there it is, like this immense bowl of darkness with dots of light in it. And I think of those dots of light as the seeds, the dreams, the possibilities. And so, the feminine holds those, and the masculine, and maybe that's our intent, our willingness to reach and touch one of those dreams and bring it into reality. Anyway, those dreams, we can bring those dreams into reality. And one of the things that Buffalo Woman talks to us about is if you have a dream or a vision that you want to make real, you do all your homework, you imagine it and see it and feel it and all the things that we know to do. But she said then one of the last steps in that kind of creation is you have to let it go. So when we let these things go, right here, it's like pretty soon I'm going to go, oh my gosh, I haven't fed the dogs, and oh my gosh, I've got, it's like, pretty soon we're pulled out of that. And the dream has been left in that. It's like, well, I can't, or I've never done it before. And it's in that atmosphere. So what she suggests and what we'll be doing as we work together in We Are Earthkeepers is she says, go into my womb as far as you can go, into that womb that holds everything that has been, is now, and ever will be. Go into there and drop your intentions and your dreams. They have a much greater chance of taking root, of blossoming, of sprouting, of coming into reality. Well, part of that is when they do, they're coming out of the source. They're coming out of intelligence, wisdom from the beginning of time. That's where those are coming from. And that's what we need to do. We need to step up, and in a sense, we need to hurry up. We need to move quickly, not hurry, just move quickly. We need to move quickly now to bring these things into reality, because, a generation is 20 years, and already a couple of years of that have gone by since I first heard it. So, it's really time to step up. And I certainly want to invite you all. I mean, it's going to be so fun to play together. I'll have the chance every month to do a teaching. I'm going to put bonuses up, because every time I think, oh, I didn't tell them that, or I just got this, I'm going to be putting those in there as bonuses so that we can keep growing together and working together. And I've must keep it brief. I know our lives are crazy, and it's like I like to say, here's an elder calling you to ceremony, half an hour or so a week to read and understand what we're going to do, another half hour or so to do it, totally concentrated, focused. We can accomplish a lot in that kind of time. So anyway, and the more of us there are, you know, there'll be people from around the world joining, I'm sure. So anyway, I'm really excited about that, and hope to have a lot of you joining me there. And you know, I'm just the one holding the space to send these prayers into the world. And one of the things that I think is wonderful about Creator, Mother, Father, they're so loving, is that what they have shown us through many different studies is that when we're willing to pray for something and to put our energy in love out for something or someone, it actually comes back around. We're supported in that way in our lives. And so it's a win-win. I have to go, where's my energy in? It's like, no, put that exquisite, loving, high level, caring, joyous, singing, dancing, visioning energy out, and let that come back around into your own life. And then you give more, and then it becomes a gifting cycle, which is the feminine.
Right. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Giving away and somebody giving back around the circle.
And it's so important to have that group energy, because it's exponential then when you get the group together and everyone's on the same frequency there. Yeah, very good, because once a month I do my Heartlight Project meditation for Mother Earth, and I do it live on YouTube, and we do a meditation, and they found that if you meditate using this heart rhythm meditation and you focus it on something that needs healing, that you send out, instead of 20 photons of light, 100,000 photons of light. So I do that once a month, and to heal Mother Earth. So yeah, to get the group together, you know, it's that group energy. So it's beautiful. I mean, we need to do this now.
Over time, I hope we'll have some kind of a media group of some kind where we can talk to each other. I wish there were better ones than I know of right now. But anyway, I'd like to be learning with each other, because like what you just offered, I would love to know more about that. It might be something I could use, and more we can keep adding our energies in to uplift this process.
Yes. It's all about, like you said, cooperation and not competition.
Yeah.
It's time to work together.
Yes.
Yeah. I think let go of the greed. There's no more greed. We don't have time for greed. We never did. We really don't now.
The thing that's interesting is that's so ignorant. I mean, a lot of these people who are being greedy and thinking they want it all for themselves, it's like, I thought they were smarter than that. I mean, you have to be kind of ignorant and dumb to realize that when you kill everything else, you don't have a life. That your children don't have a life. So anyway, it's very interesting. So we need to wise up at all levels and stand together. So I'd like to sing a song as we finish up here.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm most grateful for this opportunity to have been able to hang out with you all. It's just a wonderful thing, and I really appreciate what Joan's doing.
Well, I'm wonderful opportunity to have you here with us all. So,
all right. Walk in beauty, it's all around you. Walk in beauty, let love surround you. Walk in beauty, make it around you. Walk in beauty with love for all. Hey, yay, hey, hey, yay, hey, 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 hey. Walk in beauty, it's all around you. Walk earth with honor, shine love upon her. Walk in beauty, sweet earth we honor. Walk with honor and love for all. Hey, yay, hey, hey, yay. Hey, 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 yay. Hey, hey, yay. Hey, 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 hey. Oh.
Beautiful.
Well, I wanted to remind people too that I'd love to have them go and connect to my website. I've got a lot of teachings on there that are free, and a lot of them are old time things that I think you'd really enjoy having. And anyway, I will just adore seeing you down the line, and thank you again very much.
Well, thank you. That was a beautiful song. And yes, if we only would walk in beauty, it would be a better world too. Thank you so much for coming, Brooke. I really appreciate it. And much love to everyone. And take the time to sit, be still, and just open your hearts for a moment, and we'll make the world a better place. Take care, everyone.
Unto you.
Much love. Oh.